All right, welcome back to the channel. So Keith Thurman is out there throwing some stuff at Errol Spence Jr., talking about Errol Spence talking reckless and saying, boy, let's go and make this fight man up. Now, I'm quite sure that Errol Spence Jr. himself isn't taking that too seriously, but I think he should. And let's talk about that in this video. All right, welcome back, welcome back. So this is a bit of a confession of a Keith Thurman fan. Yes, I am a Keith Thurman fan. I was a Keith Thurman fan from before the Robert Guerrero fight, before Errol Spence Jr. before I really became aware of Errol Spence. He might have been a pro or early in his pro career, but you get my point. Keith Thurman at a point in time, right after Floyd Mayweather Jr. fell off a little bit, well, they didn't fall off, he retired, and Manny Pacquiao did whatever happened to Manny Pacquiao, Keith Thurman was really the man coming up. And it was looking as if, because I remember I don't think I was doing videos at the time, but I was saying, man, I would love to see Keith Thurman against Manny Pacquiao, Keith Thurman against Floyd Mayweather Jr. And I thought that Keith Thurman at that time could have beaten Manny Pacquiao, could have beaten Keith Thurman, had a chance to do it. I mean, could have beaten Floyd Mayweather, had a chance to do it. And the reason that I believe that about him was because he was such a heavy hitter. Right, because he really did have the power when he sits down on his punch to get welterweights up out of there. And not everybody has that type of gift that Keith Thurman had. But according to Keith Thurman, injuries crept in, right? And specifically left-hand injuries that keep him from following up, from really using his jab the way he wants to use it, from using his left hook the way that he wants to use it. So he knows that, hey, man, I can't train. I can only hit this guy so hard because I don't want to hit him so hard that I hurt myself, right? So he felt like the injuries pulled him back a little bit, makes him more hesitant, more cautious, and less willing to give all of his energy to something, right? To give all of his energy to a punch, which is what will wind up putting you up out of there, right? Because if Keith Thurman gets a full-fledged shot up on your chin, you really can't go by. You can go goodbye. But if you're injured, that's a hard thing to do. So he's saying now that he believes that his hands are right, that he's able to really sit down on punches, that he can train full out and all that stuff. Now, if he believes that, and I mean, not just believes that, well, actually, yeah, if he believes that and that becomes true, then, hey, man, now we're saying, let's see what everybody else is going to do. Now, he's saying he wants to fight Errol Spence Jr., the obvious reason for him wanting to fight Errol Spence Jr., right? Errol's got half the belts. And also, just by talking about fighting Errol Spence Jr., there's going to be a lot of interest on whoever he does fight. And I do believe that is a goal for Keith Thurman. I don't think Keith Thurman is clout chasing, saying he wants to fight Errol Spence Jr. I don't believe that you can clout chase somebody that has a belt that you used to have, right? Because he's the WBC champ. Errol Spence Jr. is the WBC champ. Keith Thurman was the WBC champ, and he had to he didn't lose his WBA championship. He had to, I think he might actually be champion in recess. Or did he not get champion in recess because he lost? I'm not sure. But at a point, he was a WBC champion in recess. So that is a belt that was his, that he didn't lose in a ring. He lost the WBC belt because he couldn't fight, right? And he was injured, so he had to give it up. And the WBC's like, man, look, we got to keep this pushing. We need to get this money. The WBA wasn't like that. They were like, hey, man, you're injured, okay, whatever. And he was able to keep his belt long enough to get back and then lose it to Manny Pacquiao in the second fight. But as far as the WBC goes, there's nothing wrong with Errol Spence Jr., Keith Thurman wanting that Errol Spence Jr. fight. Now, at the same time, I understand why Errol Spence Jr. is looking at him crazy. Like, first of all, man, you're like the fourth man down the list. Like, back in the day, yeah, I used to like you. Yeah, I used to like that fight with you. Yeah, I used to like it. I don't like it no more. I don't like it no more because these guys are more money, and you were a jerk and wouldn't fight me. So now that nobody wants to fight you because you don't have any belts. You want to come back to me? No. Why didn't you give me my shot the first time? That is a natural human reaction because Keith Thurman put that camp through a lot of ups and downs. It's just what it is. They thought that they had done everything that they needed when they were contenders to get the fight with Keith Thurman, and Keith Thurman and the rest of these guys wouldn't fight him. But Keith Thurman was particularly dismissive, and he had most of the belts. However, Related to Errol Spence, Danny Garcia didn't want to fight him at a point in time either. So he wound up fighting Danny Garcia. Sean Porter didn't want to fight him. He wound up fighting Sean Porter. The PBC is going to make those fights wind up happening. And Keith Thurman is not going to be a guy with that amount of skill that's going to sit on the sidelines forever. Shoot, they just brought back up Adrian Bronner. Adrian Bronner is going to be fighting in January. I can't wait till this PBC till they announce their fights, man. I can't wait because I suspect that we're going to see some really good things in January, February, and March. Because usually they don't. When do they put that out? They should be putting it out pretty soon. Like Fox comes out. I think most of the Fox stuff is in the second half of the year, and a lot of the Showtime stuff is in the first half of the year. So I expect to see guys like Adrian Bronner on Showtime, Keith Thurman on show. I think Keith Thurman should probably be on Showtime. But anyway, those fights are coming up. I'm thinking we're going to see a lot of really good things, and that Keith Thurman is going to be in the mix of that. Because there are plenty of good fights that he can have. The thing about the PBC, though, is that it really is not nearly as cushy as it is over there at Top Rank or at Golden Boy. I don't think for Keith Thurman that there's going to be some, oh, hey, let me jump out of here and knock out Ivan Redcash real quick. No, easy. I don't believe that that's going to be the case, man. I don't think that they're going to feed him something that easy, even though they did that to Danny. But I think they probably did that for Danny leading into the Errol Spence Jr. fight. But all in all, man, I'm just really excited that Keith Thurman is back. I just don't think that if it's completely up to Errol Spence Jr., I understand why you don't want to deal with people that did you wrong or treated you wrong, talked crazy about you and all that. But dude, over time, there's going to be so many people that do that to you that you're going to have to work with some of them. It's just how it goes, man. And at the end of the day, Keith Thurman is a guy, number one, he can fight. Number two, he's known, right? If you give him a fight and let him knock somebody out and look like one time, and that's something I don't think the PBC does very well. I don't think that they really do build up some of these fighters and give them fights to look really, really spectacular in, unless it's like Gervonta Tank Davis. Like Gervonta gets those type of fights. I haven't seen Errol get one of those type of fights, right? Who else is over there? Danny Garcia's gotten some of those. Sean Porter just had one with a formula. But anyway, man, I think the competition level over there is really, really high, man. But Errol's going to wind up running out of opponents because Manny Pacquiao's not going to fight him. Forget that. You got the Terrence Crawford having a problem for maybe the next year and a half, 2 years, unless Top Rank just sells him or something. You know, just say, hey, man, give me the 750, just go away, that type of thing. But there's hurdles for that. Canelo Alvarez is being protected up at 168 with all kind of angels of justice standing around him. So, you know, he wants to move up there, and their first reaction immediately was like, no, he'll crush him. We'll stop him. No, we don't want to see it. If they'll crush him so easy, if Canelo will crush him so easy, then I don't understand why Canelo Alvarez fans are acting like they don't want to see the fight. Shoot, Canelo's about to crush Yaldemir, and y'all want to see that? So, like, why do you want to see Callum Smith and you don't want to see Errol Spence? But it's because Canelo will destroy him. Well, if Canelo's going to destroy everybody in the history of mankind, shoot, he's got to fight someone. Might as well be Errol Spence, right? Might as well be Jamal Charlo. Crazy. But anyway, that's what it's going to continue to be as long as we don't have an option. As long as we don't have some solidity, well, not an option, but as long as we don't have some type of league in boxing, this type of nonsense is going to continue to happen. I'll sit here and say Keith Thurman is a great fighter and Errol Spence Jr. is a great fighter, and more than likely these guys are never going to fight. And then Canelo Alvarez is a great fighter, Jamal Charlo is a great fighter, but 99%, I'm not going to give a percentage, but so many of the Canelo Alvarez fans, they would rather have Canelo Alvarez just be Canelo Alvarez and have him be victorious against nobodies than have an entertaining, close fight that he wins against somebody that is great. Because they would rather see him just lap somebody. You know what I mean? It's like sometimes boxing is like, it's like a high school runner versus like a professional runner. You know what I mean? It's like, dude, you're running a mile and the high school kid is going to get lapped at a point. You know what I mean? It's just like, Yeah, you want to make this world-class runner look really fast, but you're sticking him in there with a high school runner to make him look fast. How about we stick two world-class sprinters together and make them both run, and we can see that they will both run faster than they ever had against each other, instead of just jogging against also rans like Canelo Alvarez is doing. But anyway, man, I'm digress. I'm all over the place on this because my mind is kind of somewhere else. But thank you so much for supporting the channel, and leave your comments in the comment section. And with that, I'm out. Peace.